Hey, hi Pallavi. Good afternoon and thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. Thank you so much. Pallavi, before we start, can we
Yeah.
start with a brief introduction of yours and then understand your experience, what you have done on OIC and then VBCS? Some projects you can explain, please.
Yeah. My resume also suggests that I 6 years back I started my career with the software engineering field, where I initially was working as an ADF support person for a project. Then after that, I happened to get a chance to work on a POC project for chatbot, and that I did for around 3-4 months. But
Okay.
that was POC, and that never went toward actual development. ODA, like Oracle Digital Assistant, I worked on too. And then after that, I got a chance to work on the service side, on the process side of the Oracle Cloud, where I developed 7 processes for a project in which one was a major project and remaining 6 were the child processes. So those processes were selected on the basis of type of bill that were being uploaded. So
Mhm.
let's say I am selecting a bill type as full paid or partially paid. So accordingly, the main process will get hit once the VBCS application gets loaded. The main process gets a hit, and on that, on the selection of the type of process, it again flows into the remaining 6 processes
Mhm.
according to the type of bill and the amount of the bill which it is there, and it will go to the that certified user who can approve that bill. Okay. Then after this, in the same project, I got a chance to work on the integration services part, where I developed few integrations since it was like 5 years back. So that time I just started with the this thing development part. Also, I didn't got any training and all. So going through the blogs and everything which were available online, we got integration to work where I have to move files from this thing from one server location to another server location on SharePoint. Okay, so what was happening? Those files were larger in size. Let's say they were beyond 20 MB. So we requested the client for FTP adapter connection, which he was not comfortable, and he said that okay, we'll go by the patent method, that is taking the file and keeping it over there, and will not make integration services for that. Again, in same project, I got a chance to develop a screen on VBCS where I developed few masonry tiles fields and I use them.
Okay.
After this, I got a chance to work on a project where I solely developed the VBCS and the underlying integration services. So what was there, that VBCS screens were being modulated on the basis of the role. Let's say I am a person, I am a requester who wants to request something on the company which he is logging into. So he is the person who is outside the company working, and he wants to log into the system which is company based system. So that is a person who is outside, and his role based I was extracting at the time of screen load, and then that person was being diverted to the screen which is the requester screen. So
Okay.
there he could upload his attachment and request for a equipment that they want for the use, and then henceforth he can submit the request. Now that request goes to the initiator person, where he can check the request, he can upload the request with some of the comments, and then his manager comes into the role. Now once the request has gone to the manager, the requester cannot see the request, only the manager can see, and he can take an action of approve or reject. Okay, so this was the process. Then again, I got a chance to work
So,
on
Pallavi, I got all your projects that you have worked upon. Okay. So I know you have extensive experience of VBCS and Oracle integration. I got.
yeah.
So now you have worked upon VBCS, Process Cloud, as well as integration as well. Is this right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So let's start with the technical discussion, and I will start with Visual Builder, and then slowly I will ask you questions on Oracle integration and Process Cloud also. Okay.
Sure, sure.
So, like you also told me during your project description, you have handled the roles also. So there may be a different personas, basis
Mhm.
on which the screens would be visible, or the part of the screen would be visible, right? So can you please
Yeah.
explain how you have handled those roles? What are the things that you need to create, and how you handle that security?
So, what we have done was, like what I have done, I was extracting those roles from the IDCS. Those same roles I was using, like those roles were prepared in the Fusion, and I was extracting those roles from the IDCS, and then I was giving the privileges on the screen by using the simple validation group and the bind if function, where I can modulate the screen screen this thing that when a user is logging into the screen, he can see the screen only that he is eligible for the role. Let's say if I am a junior level person, I am not eligible to see most of the fields on the screen. So the bind if function comes here, where I'll put the roles and responsibility, and that person could not see. And these roles I was extracting from the this thing you like adding the users to the this thing cloud account from the IDCS. So that I was using that I was doing that. And finally, when we were incorporating that when I was on incorporating that into the VBC screen, at the screen load only we were assigning the user at the application level and extracting its load role from the settings, and then we were showing the
So
particular
wait.
field. And
So Pallavi, you said from the settings. Which setting you are talking about?
it's in the application level, the settings where we can select the roles from the IDCS.
Okay. So do you create something in VBCS also to fetch the roles? Do you create something in VBCS at the application level? So how would you know? How you tell me
Create
how?
as in like we create the role names and
So you tell me how would you
sorry,
know
yeah,
that
please continue.
user? So Pallavi, my another question is, how would you know
Hmm.
that user
Hmm.
logs in falls in that particular role or not? That role is there in the IDCS. How you fetch those roles from the IDCS against that user who logs in?
So when we are fetching, when we are at the application level, we are giving the username in the URL only. We can pass the username, and if with that username we can match the role that is there, and hence we can use those in our this thing.
Which URL? Which URL you are
Uh,
talking about?
in the application URL, what application we have developed, no, the URL for that.
The VBCS application URL.
Yes, correct, correct, correct.
But how VBCS application URL will be able to fetch all the roles from IDCS, because IDCS is a different product.
Okay, so from there is an option where we can go, we can select the settings, and we can in
What
the
is that
settings we
option?
can
What is that option?
settings option, user roles option, and the application profiles option, where we can go
Yeah.
and select this.
Okay. So basically, the correct answer is,
Mhm.
so for example, you have a groups and users in IDCS, okay?
Yeah.
And you want your users to view a part of the screen or a complete page or the flow of that application. What you have to do, you have to create application roles, custom application roles in the setting section of the
Mm-hmm.
application, right? For example, role one, role two.
Correct,
And
correct, yeah.
then you map role one and role
Mm-hmm.
with the groups and user that is there in the IDCS, right? And then
Yeah, correct,
when your
we do it this
application
way
gets
only.
loaded, then you will have an expression like user dot role dot this group, the role
Yeah,
that you create, right?
yeah,
And
correct,
then if
correct.
that matches, then only your application
Mm-hmm.
will be loaded as per the role that user have. Meaning the first step, you have to create custom roles in the application. Is this correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Application. Correct. Yeah, yeah. That way we do that. Like we create the role, we map
Fan-
in the edit. function, we go and add those roles from the IDCS, and then we assign them on the page level.
Correct.
There
So meaning
in the
you have to first
application,
create role and
the
then
application chain also.
map those custom roles with the groups or users that you have. That is the correct
Correct.
way of doing this. Correct. All right. So the second question is
Yeah, right.
you also talked about the application profiles. Can you please help me understand the application profiles?
Application profile is also one this thing um, like basic configuration in this VBCS, where like what um like there we can see what are the processes or the service connection or the business objects, the user roles that we have incorporated into application. Uh, we can look over there, and we can edit, we can go into those information, and if we want to do any changes in that, there is an option where we can click on those and we can do the changes into that.
No, I didn't get that. I
Like
don't. No,
application profile.
Pallavi, I don't think so. The answer is correct. The application profile is based.
Like what?
Let me answer that.
Yeah.
Application profile is basically the profile
Hmm.
where you indicate like this application profile will be loaded for which stage of the application. One is development, second is stage, and third is live, right? And then let's suppose you have created a service
Yeah.
connection that points to a particular environment, let's say dev. When you switch your application from dev to stage, and when you do the stage, of course, the URL you have to change. Meaning, for example, you are connecting to one application XYZ, and the
Yeah.
URL is abc.com.
Yeah. Correct.
The dev
Yeah.
environment, I mean. When you will try to
Hmm.
stage that application, you may have to change that XYZ application URL from ABC to ABC underscore UAT, right? Meaning you have to change it. So in that application profile,
Correct. We do
you
that way.
indicate,
Yeah.
so you first create the multiple servers, okay, where you add all the environment URLs. And then when you add those URLs, you have to specify for which application profile it will be eligible. And then in the application profile, when you create, you indicate this application profile will be for development, this will be for stage, and this will be for your production. And accordingly, your servers will get loaded.
Production.
Understood?
Okay.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
tell me one thing. There are two things when I hope you have worked with service connection. Is this correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you create service connection, there are three options. Can you explain, please,
Hmm.
the three options that you
Yeah.
will see when you create a service connection? What are the three options and which one to use and when?
Okay. So the mostly used option which we work on to is creating the service connection select from the catalog. Like let's say there are services created in the ICS, and those are into a package particularly. So we can straight away go into the this thing, select from the catalog. We can select the integration applications over there, and then henceforward we'll get a list of those packages, and from those all the actually all the integration that are created over there in the those are in the packages, or those are there without the packages and in the default that there are. So we get all the list of the services that are there in ICS, and
Mhm,
we can select whichever we want to uh, involve in our this thing VBCS application.
mhm,
Okay, the other one is defined by the endpoint, where we have the specification of those that service, that is the metadata of that service, where we can go from the URL. We can take the we can take the URL, we can insert, we can provide that, we need to provide that URL, whether it is a service post or create or select something, those options we need to take select. Then the next stage comes where we give server connections. And the next, when we click on next, we have to give the request and response body of that service. Like we can incorporate a single service over here using the endpoint connection. The third one is from the defined by specification, where we have the name of the this thing service, and we need to give the URL for that particular service, and then we can create that service over there.
So what is the
So the
difference?
basic,
What is the difference between this defined by specification and defined by endpoint?
so defined by specification and defined by endpoint is specification. It basically uses only the URL and the service name. The endpoint, which requires the request and response body, both in the this thing while creation.
Okay. So basically defined by specification works when you have the Swagger URL or the open API URL. Then in this case,
Yeah,
you can use that service specification option. Okay. So the second option is defined by endpoint.
yeah.
When you know
Hmm.
the endpoint, when you know the endpoint of the
Hmm.
application, then you will use that endpoint, right? And
Correct.
tell
Yeah,
me, so you also mentioned there's an option called select from catalog. When you use select from catalog, before we use
yeah.
select from catalog, is there
Hmm.
any prerequisite to use that option called select from catalog?
Hello, hello.
So what I'm saying is to use select from
I
catalog.
missed your voice. Sorry, I missed your voice in the middle.
Okay, no problem. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So what I'm saying is to use select from catalog, when you use select from catalog, is there any prerequisite to use that select from catalog? So you told me the
Uh,
integration will be populated, but to populate that integrations, do you need to create something in the settings section? Is there any prerequisites for the same? Are you able to get my question, Pallavi?
your voice is, I lost you between in middle like
Okay.
for 10-15 seconds.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. So let me repeat the question. When you use select from catalog, is there any prerequisite to use select from catalog option? Hello?
Prerequisites. Yeah, hello,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Pallavi?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
Yes, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So,
You can follow.
uh, I have never selected. Yeah, I have never gone selected any prerequisites
Okay.
before this thing. Like whenever uh, I have tried incorporating this procedure, there is always when I click on the add button and I click on the service connection, I get this option by select from catalog, and when I go there, there is a tile box where it is written integration application. When we select on it, and we get the list of the packages, and we can expand those packages, and we can select that. We can give the service name over there. That service name is like generic, which we can and give, and we can select the list of the integration we need to involve in our VBCS application.
So basically, when you use select from catalog, okay, you will see multiple options like integration, Fusion catalog, Oracle process automation catalog, right? And when you choose any one of them, the list of APIs will be available. Is this correct?
Yeah, correct. That is like
But
when we
hear
incorporate.
me out.
I
Hear me
usually
out.
do that by backend. Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
hear me out.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
So when you choose, then the list of APIs would be visible, meaning there would
Hmm.
be some connection to the integration, to the fusion or to the OPA. Then only that list of APIs would be visible, right? Without any connection, how the APIs would be
Correct,
visible, correct? So there's a concept called
correct, correct.
backend. There's a concept called backend that has to be created in under setting section of that tenant, meaning VBCS tenant, where you will point out the integration base server URL and fusion server URL and OPA. And then only that select from catalog will be populated with that particular backend. Meaning you have to first create the backend. Without backend, that select from catalog will not work. Understood?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay, tell me one thing. Have you ever used bring your own schema concept in Visual Builder? Bring your own schema. If,
Schema concept in
for example, you wanted to use your own database, can you do that in VBCS? No. Okay. So basically,
like
okay.
using database directly into VBCS.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can use that by we can create rest this thing also by the help of the business objects that we can do. Also, when I was going through some theoretical part, I could see this new concept that is 3GL facade kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Okay.
normally what I used to follow is like creating the this thing business objects also, that by that way we can, like, that is kind of a our DB which is like with VBCS itself.
Okay. Okay. Tell me one thing. Have you worked with business objects?
Yes, very little, but yeah.
All right. So tell me, so when you create a VBCS instance, okay, so there would be an
Mhm.
embedded database where you create the business objects. Is there any limit of that embedded database? Any idea?
It is around 5 GB.
Okay. Now,
That around 5 GB. Huh.
absolutely, the 5 GB. But let's suppose I wanted to use more than 5 GB. What is the option?
Then mostly we go with the outside custom DB. We work with that.
Then how you use that custom DB?
Normally with the API that we create in integration services, we invoke that DB as like API into the VBCS application.
Okay. Now, have you heard like you can switch embedded database with another database if you wanted to get more space?
By far now, never happened to get such this work case scenario.
All right. So basically, in a VBCS, there's a concept called switching that embedded database with the another database. But that database must be the Oracle database only over the public. Okay. Or it can be okay. And you can switch that embedded database to any other Oracle database like ATP. And then once you do this, you can utilize the existing schema of the ATP, or you can create your own custom schemas via business object that you create. So the concept,
Okay.
bring your own schema, is if you are using the existing schema,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to use the existing
Mm-hmm.
schema of the connected database, that is called bring your own schema, and then you can leverage all the tables that you have in your own schema. And on top of the table, you can create your business objects, and then you can work with that business object. You can fetch the data, you can get the data, you can update the data, you can delete the data. So you can do everything like you do in the business object. That is called bring your own schema concept, right?
Okay. Okay.
All right, fine. Now let's go to Oracle integration and let me ask you questions on Oracle integration also. Can you please tell me what are the adapters that you have worked with in Oracle integration?
Mostly I have worked with the REST, SOAP, DBAS adapter, and uh, like a little work on that um, with the JD Edwards when I was trying to invoke it into one of my application.
Okay.
But yeah, that didn't happen. And a little work on ERP adapter. But mostly what I use is like REST SOAP and DBAS adapters.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So do you work with Gen 2 or Gen 3?
Gen 2.
Oh, you have never worked in Gen 3?
No, by far no.
Okay. So you have worked with limited adapters, REST, SOAP, DBAS, right?
Yeah.
And little bit on JD Edwards and little bit on
ERP.
typical ERP also. Okay.
ERP. Yeah.
Got it. So have you heard about Gen 3? Have you ever gone through the features of Gen 3 by any chance?
Gen 3 in this thing, OIC, not. I've heard that it has been upgraded to Gen 3,
Okay.
but not worked on
That
it.
is okay. No problem. So let's talk about the OIC Gen 2
Yeah.
only. Okay. So
Yeah.
tell me the patterns that you see when you create the integration and which pattern to use when. How many pattern do you see, by the way?
There are around 6 patterns in the when we try to create integration. Those are like um, uh, app driven orchestration, scheduled orchestration, file transfer, basic routing, and publish and subscribe to OIC are two
Okay.
different. So
Do you?
mostly which we
Hmm.
work on to is the app driven, and scheduled when we want something like to be executed, some reports, data, or something that trigger should be done every morning of the day or every end of the day, that need to be pick a data from some table and then execute some values on that and throw a mail or throw a notification, so that schedule orchestration over there.
Hmm.
Other than that, I have not worked on the remaining 4.
Okay. You have not worked on other force, right? But
Yeah.
you know, a few adapters has already been deprecated in Gen 2. So not adapter, the pattern. You know about that?
No,
Okay. No problem.
because
Hmm.
yeah.
That is okay. So there are 4 patterns which has already been deprecated long time back. The file transfer, basic routing, pub to OIC and sub to OIC. Those 4 patterns has
Okay.
already been deprecated and Oracle does not recommend to use those 4 patterns. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Tell me one thing.
Okay.
In a schedule, you have 2 options. You have 2 different options to do the scheduling. What are those 2 options?
Like we can use it for like 2 option, as in you are asking for
So, okay. So when you click on a action menu of the schedule integration, you will click on a add schedule, right?
yeah.
On the add schedule, there's another page that comes in, and there will be a 2 options to define the schedule. Any idea? What are the?
Oh,
Hmm.
okay, okay. So when we try to create, like when we try to finally schedule this integration, you're asking that way, no?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Like when we there are like we can add the we can schedule this integration by giving the time and the date by which we want it, like let's say if we want it on
No,
the
no, no. That
hourly
is no,
basis,
no.
or we want it.
Pallavi, that is okay. But I am asking about 2 different options. 2 different options that you see on the add schedule page.
Add schedule page. um 1 second, just give me like it's like one is like always selected, that is simple, and one is like I I call kind of,
iCal, right?
if I'm correct.
Yes. So have you worked with iCal?
Yeah, I can.
Do you know what is iCal and when do we use this?
Usually there is always a expression that we need to give over there, but never happen to give that. Like always work with simple, where the frequency is like 12 hours basis or on one day we want it. In iCal iCal, there is we have an option to give the expression, but I don't know what expression we need to give into that.
Okay.
But still, again, then there is a schedule we have to run on a time zone that way.
Right. So when I choose the simple option, you can
Hmm.
you can enter the hours and minutes also, right?
Correct, correct.
Can I enter minutes 05? Meaning, can I schedule my integration to run every 5 minutes in the simple option?
Every 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Y- um, the simple option. Yes, I can run every 5 minutes.
You can. Okay. Did you
Mhm.
have you tried
Yeah.
this have you tried this 5 minutes ever?
No, with a half an hour minimum, half an hour when I was trying to minimum the time limit that I have given was 30 minutes. Why? Because we were testing that time, and every minute we were entering the data, and we wanted to test if it is not doing the duplicacy of the data. So
Okay.
in that case, we were testing on that. I was testing
So,
on that.
so basically the minimum time is 10 minutes, not 5.
Okay.
So if you will try to enter 05, it will give you an error like you cannot set timing less than 10 minutes for the optimal performance. So minimum is 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, because
tell me one
we have
thing.
not.
That is okay. Tell me
Hmm.
one thing. Let's suppose there's a schedule integration which runs every 10 minutes, okay? Or 15 minutes, for example.
Hmm.
So let's suppose there's a one instance which is running and it takes more than 15 minutes. So what will happen to the second instance? Will that trigger or will that wait for the first one to complete?
No, no, that will get triggered again. It will not wait for the first one to complete. Either this thing. No, that will run. That will not wait for the first one to complete.
Okay, so you are
That
saying,
will get triggered.
so you mean both the integration, both the transactions can run, right?
Yeah, both the transactions can run.
Okay. So basically, so when you have defined the schedules for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, okay? If that first schedule is
Hmm.
not completed, the second transaction have to wait till the time first one is completed, meaning only one transaction can run at a time for the schedule integration. Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Another question on the schedule integration only. Do you know the complete timeout of that schedule instance? So how much time, what is the maximum timeout? What is the maximum time a schedule integration can run? Any idea? Can it run indefinitely? For
Mm.
example, it does not complete within 10 hours. Do you think will that continue or it will be errored out? It will be aborted in a certain timeout, a certain time?
I think it's around 5 or 6 minutes, 6 minutes of time that it will time out.
Okay. So if any schedule integration will not complete within 6 hours, then only it will be terminated. Meaning the timeout limit for schedule integration is six
Oh,
hours.
sorry, 6. Yeah, sorry, got confused with. Yeah, in minutes and hours, I got confused. Like I read somewhere like in the seconds I read, so I
Okay,
this thing calculated
that is
that
okay.
accordingly.
Do you
Sorry,
know?
sorry. With
Do you
six
know the
hours, yeah.
Do you know the transaction timeout limit for the synchronous integration?
Synchronous integration.
Mhm. By the way, do you know what is synchronous integration?
Yeah, where we always want a response
Hmm.
for our integration to move ahead. So synchronous integration timeout limit. I, um,
It
it's
is
around
hmm,
4 minutes,
it is five
three
minutes.
to 4 minutes, I think.
It is 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So have you ever
Okay.
worked with connectivity agent?
Connectivity agent, I'm aware about the brief this thing idea, but never created a connectivity agent.
Okay.
So
In which situation we use that connectivity agent?
in which situation where we need to communicate with the applications like from the database or from the on-premise applications.
Okay.
So we use connectivity agents.
So when you say database, every time I need to connect to the database, I need connectivity agent, even if it is on the public internet.
No, but it's not with that. But most of the time when we connect with the on-premise database, we require connectivity agent,
Okay. What do you mean by on premises?
which is not on the cloud. Like
Okay. Which is not on the cloud. Fine. Okay. No problem. Have you ever installed connectivity agent by any chance?
I have not installed, but I'm aware of the
Okay.
steps that are involved in
All right.
this thing.
What is the workflow to install connectivity agent? What are the things that we need?
Uh, Initially, first we have to create the agent group,
Mhm.
and then we have to sorry.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so we have to first create that agent group, and then we download that agent and in a zip file.
Mhm.
Now in the local system we unzip that file, and we on the system where the cloud is located, like this thing on premise or cloud location, we unzip that, and then we go into the there is a installer file there dot config dot cfg file. We
Mhm.
update the configuration over there, and then again install the connectivity agent in the local system,
Mhm.
and then we can create the adapter connection using that connectivity agent.
Okay. You mentioned the profile, configuration profile. What are the things that you
Yeah.
mentioned under that file?
A username, password, the host name, and the mm,
Host name of what?
username or URL, and the OIC URL, and the user credentials, which I remember we give that over there.
Okay. And you also mentioned you create the agent group. What is the use of agent group? Where this will come into the picture when you install that agent? Any use of that agent group when you install agent?
Use of the agent group in this is like when we need to create the integrations.
Mhm.
This particularly this helps us in this thing sending and getting the messages uh, within the integration and the system where we want to connect this application or service to.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. No, my question was, what is the purpose of agent group, not agent? When you install agent, is there any place where we configure that agent group also?
In OIC only we configure the this thing.
Okay. So basically, when you use installer profile.configuration, you give multiple information
Mm-hmm.
there. One is instance, the OIC instance, which you want to connect to,
Yeah.
plus agent
Yeah.
group identifier, from which agent group identifier you want to connect to your agent, and then OIC username and then password. And then you use that agent group under your connection.
Connection, correct. Yeah. Okay, well, I have never actually done a hands-on on this,
That
so
is okay. Now, when you create Oracle ERP adapter, can I use agent group while creating ERP adapter also?
agent group while creating ERP adapter. I think yes, we can use the connectivity agent while creating the ERP adapter. Like one of my this thing application where I was connecting with the CMET system, which is like medical
I'm talking about Oracle ERP
this
adapter.
thing.
I'm talking about Oracle ERP adapter.
Yeah, Oracle ERP adapter also we can use this thing.
Okay. Hmm. All right. No problem. Hmm. All right. So do you know when you use REST adapter to invoke any third-party REST API, what is the payload
Mm-hmm.
limit of request and response? What is that payload?
What is the
What is the payload limit of that request and response? So when you are invoking any REST API,
payload limit?
yes.
Okay. Um,
But do we have any payload limit? Can you send a payload of 1 GB, 2 GB, 3 GB, or 10 MB, 50 MB, or 100 MB? Do you think we can send a payload without any size limit? Do you think that?
No, it's like always with OIC there is a payload limit with which we can send. The maximum payload that we can send is up to 1 GB, but that is also with the download file option that we can
Mm.
use in the TCP adapter,
No,
TCP adapter connection
but my question is for the rest.
for the REST adapter.
Hmm.
Mm, yes, with the like it's a where in this we can use the multi-part this thing message attachments where we can but that will be not an this thing schema based or structured payload which with which we can send up to 1 GB. We can send up to 1 GB of data in that REST adapter.
Okay, that is okay, fine. Hmm. Do you know when we can use lookups? Have you ever used lookups?
Yeah, with the wherever the uh, like there is a list of value wherever which is required uh, at like there is a static list of value which we require which we can require in many integration at a same with the same values there we can use a lookup concept.
Any example of this? Have you
Let's
ever used,
say
have
if
you
there
ever
is a
used,
country and
but have you ever used lookup?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I have used lookup.
Okay. And what is the function that you use to use that lookup?
Function as in the
So
OIC.
yes.
Function to use that lookup in when while data map in the data mapping there we can use this is like lookup value function which we use to map the
Okay.
lookup into this thing.
Okay. Lookup value is the function that we use to
Yeah,
use that lookup, right? Do you know the number of arguments that you have to pass in that lookup value function? How many arguments you pass in that lookup value function? No idea?
sorry, I missed your my I had a bad network connection. What did you ask? Could you please repeat?
Do you know the number of arguments that you have to pass in that function called lookup value?
Number of arguments that I can pass to use that lookup value function. Mhm. Like number of arguments, it's like when around there are 4 or 5, I think, which I have passed into that.
So there are total 5 arguments that you have to pass. One is lookup name,
Yeah.
source column,
Yeah.
the value of the source
Yeah. Correct.
that you
Yeah.
wanted to fetch from target column
Uh-huh.
and then default value.
Yeah.
All right. So, Pallavi, nice talking to you. And I hope we had a great conversation. And I hope you have a knowledge of VBCS and OIC. I hope it's
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pallavi, for the time that you spare for that particular interview. Thank you so much.